I just helped an insurance agent to save over $30,000. So before we get into it, a little bit about me. My name's Tyler. I own a company called Scale Ops and Agency Aid. I have started a scratch insurance agency, grew it and sold it, and now I help other insurance agents around the country to staff virtual assistants or fix issues inside their agencies. I also run a Facebook group called Agency Shop Talk. We've got hundreds of agents all over the country inside this group. We'd love to have you come join us. But yeah, let's get into it. So I'll give you a little backstory about the agency. So, essentially, roughly a $5 million book of business. They are mostly personal lines, probably 80+%. So that gives you a pretty idea. PNC, most people I work with are in the PNC industry. So, mostly home and auto insurance and $5 million. So, of that, with a $5 million book of business, you're roughly renewing about 400,000 per month in premium. And so what we found when we dug into the numbers is they were losing more business than they were writing. They have currently got roughly an 80% retention ratio, which is lower than most of the agencies we're working with. So 400,000 a month in renewals, that comes out to losing about 80,000 per month in premium, which is over 10,000 a month in commissions. And so a lot of money. That's $120,000 a year. That's a really good COO. That's paying for tons of marketing, paying off your house, whatever it is. Big chunk of change for this agent. And so we wanted to get to the bottom of what's going on and how do we fix it. And so when we dug into the numbers, the 80% retention is one that kind of caught our eye and where we decided to start. There's a lot of things we can work on and tweak, but that was one of the big pieces. So they currently don't have a CRM. They have an AMS. They're tracking things as best they can inside the AMS. I'm always a big CRM fan. Agency Zoom was always what I set up most of the things for my agency inside of, and I was a really big fan. A little about this agency. They've got a couple of producers, they've got two CSRs, and they've got three VAs. And so that's one we'll touch on a little bit later, but I really feel like that number's too high. And I'm the guy selling them the VAs. And so you can take my word a little bit truthfully there, just because I feel like they've got too many. So where we started is with pipelines and tracking. So inside Easy Links, you can set up pipelines inside their sales center, or if you don't have Easy Links, you can set it up with a CRM. If you don't have a CRM, shoot me a message. My company, we use High Level. I can set you up a sub account inside High Level pretty cost effectively. So neither here nor there. Pipelines is the way that we're going to track what's going on and fix their renewals process. So we're going to have two different ones. We're going to have new and renewal. And for this video, we're going to talk about their renewals pipeline because we want to get their 80% retention up to 90%. So the processes that we installed and are installing has got several of our other clients up into the mid 90s. Our goal is just a 10% increase right now. So 80% to 90%. That takes them from losing 80,000 a month in business to 40,000 a month in business, which is under what they're currently writing in new business. So they are at least maintaining or slightly growing. We just don't want them shrinking. So that's where we're at. And so I am going to give you the exact pipeline stages that I set up to make sure that we can handle this. So first, we've got initial review. So roughly 90 days prior to renewal, all of their renewing accounts go into this stage. So 90 days prior, we're going to start some automation. Day 0, a text and an email goes out to the client. and it has got a form on it that is just asking them to update their information. We want to make sure it's tagged as urgent because we need this handled by the client. And the whole goal is we want to ask them if they've had any address changes, if they've had any vehicles, if they have any new drivers, any types of changes, because we want to make sure that our information is accurate. And so day zero, that goes out. Then 5 days later, another reminder goes out if that form has not been completed. And then 3 days after that, so day 8 after renewal, so 82 days prior to their renewal, an email goes out to the producer on file and notifies them, hey, it looks like your insured has not completed this form. Pick up the phone, give them a call, and update the information. So lots of accounts for this agency were just kind of stalling out here. Nobody was chatting with the insured. The insured wasn't getting them additional information back. There were just some headaches with leads just sitting in process. Nobody knew what to work on. The virtual assistants didn't know which accounts they needed to go quote. The producers and CSRs didn't know who needed to be called. So we're just trying to add something that way there's some accountability. And so that's step one. So next stage is received info. So as soon as somebody fills out this form, it takes the lead and automatically puts them into received info. And there is no manual movement here because on this phone call here on day 8, when the producer calls, they are manually filling out that form and then it still goes into received info. So we're tracking everything along the way. The form is always getting completed. That way the data goes into the system the same way every time. I'm a big fan of this because it allows you to track, it allows you to have metrics, and it keeps your data clean inside the agency. So, received info. As soon as it hits this stage, the virtual assistants know this is where we're going to be pulling from. And so, we next have a quoting tab. So as soon as the VA sees inside received info that there is a lead that nobody else is working on, they're going to manually drag it into quoting and then assign it to themselves. So during this process, the agency principal can go in and see which virtual assistant is quoting which account and likely when they can expect to have those quotes finished. Again, these are personal lines accounts, so this ought to be going pretty quickly, especially inside your AMS with the rater connected. You should fly through these accounts and you have all of the new information. So you're just updating some fields and carriers. Not a big deal. Next, we've got quoted. So as soon as all of the quotes are completed and it is a finished file, the virtual assistant moves it to quoted, which sends an email to the producer on file, and then they can go present it to the client. So pretty simple. If you've watched any of my other videos on building a pipeline, this is nothing new. This is my same playbook that I run over and over again. And so next we've got the presented tab. This is typically where a good CRM comes in, but also if you've got any type of follow-up tools, you can run this inside whatever it may be. But as soon as the producer has the conversation with the client from the quoted tab, they manually move it to presented if they're waiting on the insured. And this is a holding stage and there's automated follow-up going out. So you want to have texts and emails trying to remind the prospect of their pending renewal and trying to get all of that stuff finished. Then after presented, we've got closed, we've got X dated. And so that's really your two options. So either they closed with your agency, I'm going to clean this up. They closed with you guys, they renewed, or you lost them, but you're going to X date them and try and get them back next year. When they go into that X dated tab, there's automations in place to try and get that client back over the course of the next 1 to 3 years. And so by following this process, we are expecting to get this agency from 80% to 90% retention And so rather than losing 80K per month, they're going to lose 40,000 per month. And rather than lose 10,000 in commissions, they're only going to lose 5,000 in commissions, which comes out to a pretty big saving over the course of the year, roughly $60,000 less that they're going to lose. And so that's a big difference. So at the beginning of this video, I said we saved them 30. Again, I was being conservative, hoping that we only get a 5% increase in um, their retention. I really expected to be about 10%. So that's the basics of how we just saved an agency quite a bit of money. This is something very simple to set up inside your agency. Now, if you're an agency owner and you're having headaches and you don't really know what's going on, I'd encourage you to fill out a form on our website. Go to scalemyops.com, schedule a call with myself or my team. I enjoy doing stuff like this. We will happily hop on the call with you, talk you through what's going on in your agency, and show you exactly how to go fix it. So, again, if you're an agent and you would love to learn more about insurance, go check out our Facebook groups, Agency Shop Talk. We have one for anybody in the industry, and then we have one specifically for agency owners. So, we've got a place for everybody, different conversations happening in each spots. And I would love to get to have a conversation with you in the group, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.